Welcome to the Divine Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Christina Aroche, and together we are walking the path of discovering your true self and the alignment with your soul. Through these conversations, you will experience a deeper level of connection with yourself and the universe, and most importantly, you will trust in your spiritual journey ahead. Let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Divine Connection Podcast. I'm so excited to be jumping into today's question. Before we dive into that, though, I wanted to let you know, in case you did not know, that you can submit your questions to be answered on the Divine Connection Podcast. All you have to do is go to christinaroche.com/ask-christina to submit your question, and then subscribe to this podcast. Listen every week and you'll see your answer pop up at some point. And I love answering these questions so much because I just feel like it's first of all something that a lot of people experience. A lot of people have these questions. And it also helps me to really see, where people are at in terms of their journeys. What are they looking for guidance on? And from there, be able to create content that supports you. So I just love it so much. I'm so excited. And so today's question is from Jen. And what she says is, as healers, we are often called upon as teachers. What tips or advice do you have for teaching others our spiritual gifts? Oh, I love this so much. This is so good. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Aside from like angels and spiritual connection, I really love talking about this idea of being a teacher, being a healer, and how to essentially bring through our expression. And the way that I see it, I want to first of all just kind of create a little bit of a foundation here before we dive into answering this question, which, by the way, I have 4 tips I'm going to share with you today. So that's what we're going to get into. But before we do that, I want to start off by sharing that from my perspective, the way that I see it as a healer, as a spiritual teacher, as a light worker, whatever it is that you identify with. But if you identify as someone who is here to help others and that you're here to bring through some sort of a teaching or form of expression, what I want you to recognize is that your calling to express yourself, or your calling to even just be of service in some way to other people, that calling is coming from the divine. It's coming from your soul. And when we pursue that calling, when we pursue the expression of how that wants to come through, that is when we utilize our gifts. So the way that I see it, it's that, let's say someone who is a healer and they want to help other people. They want to guide other people through a specific transformation. They want to bring, guidance and support into their life. And so you show up and express yourself as this healer who facilitates XYZ, some sort of transformation or walking with you on some sort of journey. And so as you show up and let's say you really love to write, as you write, that's a gift that through which you're expressing this truth. So as you are writing and as you're bringing through the messages and as you're bringing through the teaching and the guidance and all those things through your writing, that is the way that your gifts are being shared. And that's the way that you are expressing yourself. Maybe you are a speaker or you desire to speak, or you know that your voice has a lot of potential in it. And so you show up in a certain way where you are sharing your words and you're allowing your voice to be heard. You're allowing yourself to be seen. And so that is a gift. That's the gift through which you are bringing through that divine expression, which is then landing with the people who desire to go through that transformation. So it's all interlinked together, and it absolutely fascinates me so much how the divine works through us in this way, and how the divine, like every single moment that we show up in the expression of our true selves, through the expression, through our gifts, and how we bring through whatever the message is, whatever the truth is that we feel called to share, that is the divine working through you in order to reach other people. And one of the things that I want to say as well, that's coming through right now as I'm talking, I feel Archangel Zadkiel here very strongly. One of the things that he's saying, that he's showing me, is that sometimes, for some people, they may not necessarily view themselves as teachers necessarily. Like, you might be someone who's like, yeah, I'm here to coach people or guide people, or I am an energy healer or a Reiki practitioner or whatever the case may be. But you're like, but I'm not a teacher. Like, no, I'm not a teacher. I'm still learning. Like, I don't know where you got this from. But what I want to say is that if you are someone who is holding space as a facilitator in some shape or form, whether it's coach, guidance, mentorship, energy healing work, whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you are a teacher, whether you see it that way or not. And I think that it's because we have this like traditional viewpoint of what a teacher is, right? Like someone who's standing in front of the classroom and telling you what to do or not telling you what to do. But you know what I mean? It's they're there and they're explaining something and they're, oh, here's all this information and whatever. It's being a teacher is so much more than that. And this is now leading me into tip number 1. So this is my first piece of advice for anyone who's on this path as a healer, as a spiritual teacher, as a mentor, as a guide, as a coach. It's shifting how you view teaching. And I guarantee that once you create this shift within yourself, that for those of you who maybe did not identify as teachers as before, you will start to see how you truly are a teacher. And so this first tip is seeing teaching as a remembrance. So as a teacher, someone who facilitates, someone who holds space, your job is actually to support the remembrance within others. And it's not direct like that. You're not like going to people and be like, yeah, remember? Do you remember? Does your soul remember this? However, as you go through in terms of sharing things or explaining certain concepts or walking people through a certain journey or certain transformation, what's actually happening is that you are supporting their soul's remembrance. And that is essentially what teaching is. If you think about it, all of our souls here, I truly believe that for many of us, maybe not every soul, but for a lot of people who are here right now, their souls actually have a lot of wisdom, have a lot of knowledge, have a lot of experience in terms of, spiritual development and growth and all those things. It's just that from our human perspective, it feels like everything is new. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what you're talking about. Chakras, what, and at the same time, as you start to dive in through your physical mind to receive information and process it on a physical level, there is something that happens energetically and spiritually that is a remembrance, that is an activation of something that your soul already knew, your soul maybe already even experienced. And so you're walking this path as a remembrance. And so as a teacher, from like a teacher's point of view, right, as a spiritual teacher, as a mentor, as a healer, from your point of view, it's remembering that your process that you're walking your people through, your clients, your students, your audience, whoever it is, that it's actually multifaceted, meaning that there are so many different layers to it. It's not just about, well, I'm talking to you, I'm speaking and I'm sharing words, I'm explaining something, and then your brain is receiving it and processing it and taking it in and understanding what I'm saying. Like, yes, that's part of it, but there's so much more that is happening beyond that. There's things that are happening physically. There's things that are happening emotionally. There's things that are happening mentally. And then there's, of course, things that are happening on a spiritual and energetic level. And it's important to remember that as a teacher, you are facilitating this multi-dimensional process that is happening, that is integrating, that is receiving, that is remembering on all of these different levels. And so, yes, on some level, like I said, your logical mind might be like, this is the first time that I'm hearing about this, which is probably true. As a human, maybe that is the first time that you're hearing something or coming across a certain concept. However, as your logical mind starts to receive it, and as you begin to bring this into your energy field and into your entire beingness, what's happening then is that emotionally you're processing, and physically within your body, like on a nervous system level, it's processing. And then, of course, spiritually, you're processing. And this is what I believe is that almost like a snowball effect or a domino effect, where you begin to open up, and you begin to remember. And maybe as I'm sharing this, maybe you can think of a time on your own spiritual journey where you began to, learn about certain information, and then it feels like you've just gone down a rabbit hole, and now you're learning about this and that, and you're so interested in these different spiritual concepts or ideas or energy or whatever the case may be. And you just continue to go and go and go and go. And it's like you can't get enough. It's like a thirst that can't get quenched. And you're just like, I want to learn more and I want to receive this. And it's because your spirit, your being is like, yes, more, more, more. We're activating on a level subconsciously. You don't even know what's happening right now, but this is all supporting you and leading you to where you need to go. And so this is important to remember, that you are facilitating this for people, that you're holding the space for that. And so in the process, it's understanding that as a teacher, it's not up to you to convince or to, make people understand or convince them of something. Your purpose or your role is really about trusting in the expression that desires to come through you, trusting in what you feel guided to share, or how you are guiding other people, whatever that process may be, trusting that this is where you're being led. And then through that you are being that facilitator, and that God, that the divine is working through you and activating whatever needs to be activated in that other person or those people, whatever it needs to be. And that's it. That's it. You're showing up to facilitate this multidimensional process, and your job is to trust in the expression that comes through you, that moves through you, and that however it lands for other people, it's going to do what it needs to do in that other person. And that's your job. So that's my first tip, is knowing that teaching is actually less about explaining information, even though it's part of it, but it's less about the explanation of the information, and it's more about the facilitation, and that there's so much more that's happening beyond the scenes, and that it comes down to it being a remembrance process that's happening for other people. And it's not up to you to decide what the timeline is. Like, I could have a timeline that's like, yeah, I'm going to teach you this thing in 3 weeks. This is my process. I'm going to teach it to you in 3 weeks, and we're going to be good to go. However, someone who is, learning something with me for 3 weeks, beyond those 3 weeks, it could take them 4 weeks. It could take them 4 months. It could take them a year, whatever it is, to really fully integrate and receive everything from that original expression that moved through me. And I've seen this time and time and time and time and time again through my courses and through the programs and things that I teach and what I share. People will tell me, hey, I just went back to that course from 2 years ago and I just had a huge breakthrough, even though it was 2 years ago. And the reason why is because the expression, the facilitation is working on these different levels. So whatever you received 2 years ago, it entered in and processed through maybe the mental experience and maybe a physical experience. And now over time, you've opened yourself up to be able to receive on an even deeper level, as an example, right? And it's not just me, just using myself as the example. However, everyone has that capability to support and facilitate that type of transformation, that type of breakthrough for others. So then my second tip for you is trusting in what you are called to express. And that it's going to land for others in the way that it's meant to. So this is kind of bouncing off of what I just talked about. And I want to go deeper with it because, we can have the kind of get stuck in this idea of I'm not really sure what my message is, or I'm not really sure what I need to share, or what I'm meant to share, or what God or the divine would have me share. I kind of feel like I could talk about this or talk about this or talk about this. And I've seen people get stuck in that overthinking and get stuck in like, where do I start, or where do I share, or what's the message? I'm not even really clear on it. And so what I always tell people is to practice, first of all, listening and tuning into your spirit, tuning into your being, tuning into what wants to be expressed through you. And it could be something so simple, but the point is that it's something that you feel really passionate about, or something that really ignites this like, I'm so excited to talk about this. I just want to say this. And it's practicing, first of all, tuning into that. Because when we tune in and we become accustomed to listening, and more specifically, it's feeling what wants to be felt, and what feels exciting, what feels really important, and what feels really, again, like I said, that passionate feeling around it. That if that's what you feel regarding a specific topic or a specific message or conversation or whatever it may be, that right there is your indicator that that is what's meant to come through you. That is you doing God's work, right? Like that is you bringing through this, potential or whatever the thing is that's really meant to activate, that's really meant to heal, what's really meant to bring through transformation to whoever is meant to receive it. So it's trusting in what you're being called to express, and that it is going to land for people in the way that it's meant to, meaning that not everyone is going to agree. And you may trigger people. You may trigger people, and that's okay. Part of your job as a teacher, as a light worker, as a healer, is that you are going to trigger people. I have definitely triggered people in my time as a healer for over 7 years now. And it's not always easy to see that. And it's important to understand that when people get triggered by your truth or by what you're sharing or what you're expressing, that it's actually one of the most potent opportunities for them to step into whatever the divine is guiding them into. So if there's an opportunity for them for healing, or an opportunity for them to become more empowered within themselves, and the pathway to doing that is actually to get triggered by you, well, you just did your job. You triggered them. And not everyone's going to let you know that you triggered them also. That might just be something that you share something online, or you say something a certain way, and boom, like someone goes through an internal experience within themselves. And so it's trusting in the fact that however something lands with people, and however they receive it, it's the way that they were meant to receive it. And that it's not your job to ensure that everyone gets it, or that everyone agrees with it. It's, again, coming back to the idea that the divine is working through you. Whatever it is that you're teaching, whatever it is that you're sharing, whatever it is that you're putting out there into the world, it's the divine working through you. And so that's, again, I come back to what I just mentioned a few moments ago around paying attention and learning how to listen to what the divine wants to say, what your soul wants to say, and what feels really good and exciting. Like what you feel really passionate about, what feels important. And using that as the anchor point that says, okay, I feel the call. God, angels, universe, I hear you. I see it. I feel it. I really want to talk about this. This feels really exciting to say. And even though I'm nervous to actually express this or to say this or to teach this, because there's a part of me that's now doubting and saying, who am I to be thinking that? Who am I to be teaching that? Am I really an expert in this? I don't know. We can go into the spiral, or we come into a space of, I feel really called to say this. And even though my human is kind of starting to doubt things, I'm going to trust that you, God, angels, universe, are working through me right now. And that what I have to say, what I have to share is meant to land with the people who are meant to receive this. And I'm going to trust in how it reaches them. I'm going to trust how it lands with them. I'm going to trust in how they are activated through this process, whether they're activated in a sense of they feel inspired or they're activated in the sense that they feel triggered. Regardless, I know that you are working through me, and I know that this is important. And this tip is really important, especially for those of you who are recovering people pleasers. Raising my hand right alongside you. But it's important to remember that it's not up to you, and that in your work as a facilitator, healer, mentor, guide, etc., that it's not just you. Like, you're raising your hand to be an extension of the divine, to do the work of the divine, to be of service in a way of, I'm here to facilitate transformation in healing and love and whatever else that comes through for you specifically. So it's important to remember that you've raised your hand for that. And so it's trusting in how then this energy moves through you. Okay. Tip number 3 is that the more grounded you are in your truth, the more impactful it will be. So this is directly building off of what I just shared, which is, you practicing tuning in and listening and really feeling connected to what you feel called to share. And then the next part of this, tip number 3, is how grounded you are in that truth. And knowing that the more grounded you are in it, the more impactful it will be, meaning that it will be felt on a deeper level. And this is one of the things that I want you to recognize, is that this is something that's been really in my awareness, I'd say over the past year or maybe a year and a half or so, that there's a difference between talking just to say something, or just to talk, just to like say words because you feel like you should, versus speaking truth and expressing yourself as a means of facilitation and as a means of being felt. And that has been something that I feel is such a beautiful, deeper level of awareness in terms of our expression, in terms of our teaching, in terms of how we're here to guide other people, that you're not just saying stuff or explaining all these things because you feel like, well, if I don't over explain myself, then they're not going to get it. And if they don't get it, then they're going to think that I'm not good enough. And if I'm not good enough, then that means that, blah, 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 right? Instead of that path, which I have experienced many times for many years throughout my journey, it's really about coming back, taking a step back and looking at how your voice, your expression, your truth, what you are bringing through, it's actually about creating a feeling in other people. When people feel you, that's when they are most impacted by you. And it's that saying, I forget who says this, but it's the saying that, people will forget what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And that is so true. Who said that? Someone comment below. Let me know who said that quote. I'm going to look it up after this. But that's so true. It's about the feeling. It's about experiencing the feeling and knowing that you are felt, knowing that what you are saying is landing. And the way that we create that sensation and the way that we create that deeper level of connection for other people, with other people, is by being grounded in that truth for yourself. And so that's why, I go back to tip number 2, where I talked about how it's so important for us to listen, because there is a difference between, well, I should talk about this because it probably is going to be well received, or because I see so many other people doing this, so maybe I should do that too. And I'll just put my own little twist on it, but that's what I'm going to pursue because it seems to be successful for other people, so I'm going to do it too, kind of thing. Versus this is what's really deep in my heart. This is what I'm really called to talk about. This is what's really lighting my heart on fire in the sense of like, I feel so excited and so passionate about this. Right? Like there's a difference. And then the other thing that's important is that when we discern that and we recognize like, ooh, this is what really lands for me, that's where you become very grounded in that, very grounded in that truth. And what I mean by grounded is essentially the embodiment piece. So if you are someone who is talking about, you know, a certain journey of, let's say, abundance, or you're talking about a certain journey of transformation, but you are living the opposite of what you are talking about, then you're not going to feel as connected to the message because you aren't even implementing the things that you're saying, or you're not living and breathing the concepts or the ideas that you are trying to facilitate for other people. And it's not about being perfect. I'm not talking about being a perfect human and like I got everything, like I have the most beautiful, perfect sunshine mornings every day. I never experienced that. It's like nothing like that. But what I am saying is that you are utilizing your own tools or experiences, knowing, you know, all the things to support yourself. Because when you do that, when you're embodied in what you are sharing, when you're embodied in the truth that you're expressing, then the embodiment, aka the groundedness that I just shared, that is what's going to be felt. That's what's going to create a deeper sensation or a deeper feeling. And that is what's then going to impact others on a deeper level. So, also, I just want to say that this isn't to say that, you know, it's not black and white. It's not just like, okay, you're either impactful or you're not. It's a spectrum. And all this is a way to deepen, to go even deeper, to access another layer of what impact means, to access another layer of what being felt and moving people means. You know, when you're moved by something, why are you moved by it? Because you felt the sensation. Like just think about a song that brings you to tears, that brings you to experience so much joy or love or whatever the feeling is, but it moves you. The songs that really bring something out within you, they move you. Why do they move you? Because you felt something. And so now you're going to remember that song because you're like, man, that really impacted me. I felt that. I felt that sadness, or I felt that love. I felt that joy in that song. And I really, like, it really anchored itself into me. And I guarantee you that the musician, the artist, whoever created that song, they really felt it. They felt that emotion. They felt the message. They really felt it on such a deep level when they were expressing that music. And so now it gets translated. So it's the same thing for us when we are teaching, when we are facilitating as healers, whatever guidance you're bringing to other people. It's so important for you to check in with yourself and to recognize and see, am I grounded in this truth right now? Am I feeling it for myself? Because if I'm not, and here's the thing, sometimes you may not be. I've experienced this so many times when I was not grounded in the truth that I was sharing. And so the thing is that it's not like it's a waste of time or like forget it. It's actually just, oh, how can I ground myself into this? I'm recognizing, I'm discerning, I see that I'm not feeling it. So how do I get myself to feel it? What do I need to do for myself to feel it? And when you create that for yourself, boom, now you're creating it for other people too. Now you've just deepened the impact. Now you are felt on a deeper level. And so that is the practice. So this isn't something that is, like I said, it's not black and white. It's something that you get to practice. And as I've also mentioned, this has been very much in my awareness for the last year and a half. And so that's something that I have personally also just been aware of in terms of how I speak, how I share, how I guide other people. I definitely used to be the person who would be like, I'm just going to talk and share and say all these things because if I cover everything and I over explain myself, then we'll be good. There'll be no questions, which means that you got it. And also at the same time, I realized that it's about the feeling. And so my bigger intention now and everything that I do is that I want you to feel what I have to say. I want you to feel it on a deeper level. I want you to be impacted. I want to be able to say 3 words and it really runs deep inside. You're like, oh my gosh, I felt that. She only said 3 words, but that's the thing. It's understanding that it's about the feeling, and the way that we create feeling is by being grounded in it. And so again, if you are not feeling it for yourself, it means that your people are not feeling it to the depth that they're meant to. So your question then is, how do I create a deeper sensation of this for myself? How do I become grounded in it? How do I embody it on a deeper level? And then it's guaranteed that they're going to feel it. Guaranteed that they're going to be impacted. Guaranteed that there's going to be a shift, a transformation that happens. So that is my third tip. And then finally, the fourth one is all about, it's really kind of, we're going to shift the conversation a little bit and bring it into a sense of, as you step into your purpose, into your role, into your calling as a teacher, as a facilitator, right? Like a spiritual teacher, what I'm talking about, as a healer, as a coach, as a guide, all those things, that it is important to explore and diversify the ways in which you are bringing through your truth and the ways in which you're teaching. And at first, it's about, especially if you're first starting, it is about creating a solid foundation. It's about recognizing what is the number one way that I am called to bring this forward. What is the way in which that people, it really lands with people. And then from there, you diversify it. And from there, that's how you expand. And from there, that's how you grow. So for those of you who are listening and you are in a space where you are either wanting to create a business around your gifts and around your calling as a spiritual teacher, as a guide, as a healer, as a mentor, or you already have a business and you're just like, how do I grow this? How do I expand my work, expand my business? This tip number 4 is going to be for you. And so, like I said, it's about diversifying the ways in which you are facilitating the way you're teaching. So once you understand the foundation, because it's always important to build from a solid foundation. So you first want to create that solid foundation, meaning that you have your go-to way of teaching, facilitating, like what is the thing that you are quote unquote known for. Okay. And then from there, you get to expand the way that you bring your work through. That's why a solid business model is important to have at the forefront in all of what you do. If a business is something that you desire to create out of this. And this is coming from experience. I'm just going to say this is coming from experience, because when I first started back in 2017, my thing was, I'm just going to wing it. Like, I'm just going to offer this, and then I'm going to offer this, and then I'm going to offer this. And then it was just like, this is what I'm going to offer now, and I want to offer this. And it was just like, there was no actual system. There was no model, but business model really in place. There's not a specific framework or structure. It was just kind of like, well, I'm going to offer these kinds of readings, and then maybe I'm going to teach this workshop. I'm going to do this, it was that sort of a thing, which is fine. It worked. I left my corporate career doing that, it worked. It gets you to a certain level for sure, and if you want to wing it for a little bit, it's fine. It works. Okay. Trust me. I've done it. It works. It's fine. However, if you desire to really expand and grow, or if something like, having very solid, reliable, sustainable energy in terms of your business, especially in the realms of finances and things like that, in the realms of clientele and audience growth and whatever, then it's important to understand that your business needs an ecosystem. It needs to function within an ecosystem, and it needs to have systems in place. It needs to have a solid business model in place. And so through that, by looking at that, by understanding the best ways that you work, by understanding what you're specifically called to do, by understanding how you best facilitate for other people, all of that is going to be so unique to you. But by understanding those things, then you create a really solid foundation on which you can diversify, and the solid foundation on which you can, bring through different offers and services and products and whatever it is. Have this ecosystem of truths and conversations and things that you bring forward so that people can really be impacted in the way that they're meant to. And so this is the thing. It's kind of one of those things where as you tweak it, as you get really good at it, as you get grounded in it, that's where when you see people online who are like, oh, like experiencing all this growth or experiencing a lot of momentum and whatever, all of that, and you're like, how do I create that for myself? How do I do that? The work is in understanding yourself on such a deep level and trusting in the way that you facilitate, trusting in the way that you bring this truth forward, trusting in how you express, trusting in how you're being called to teach, that is how you become expansive within your business, within your work, that will reach more people, that will have a greater impact. I know that there's people listening to this who are like, I'm here to create an impact in the world. And if that's you, if you are someone who identifies with the idea that you are here to create a big impact, you may or may not know all the details, and that's fine. You don't have to know all the details. I don't think any of us know all the details. Only God knows all the details. We might have an idea of it though. Whatever the case may be, you know that you're here to impact. You know that you're here to have an influence in the world because you see the world and you're like, okay, we need to make some changes here. I'll do it. I'll volunteer myself. I'll do it. I'll create a business that will support the changes that the world needs, right? Like we volunteer ourselves. And also sometimes it feels like we have no choice because, that's just the calling of our soul bringing us forward. But the point is that as we really solidify ourselves in a strong foundation when it comes to our business, when it comes to our work, when it comes to bringing through our truth, this is what's going to create that like wildfire almost kind of effect in your business in a good way. Okay, in a good way, where it feels like it's expanding and it feels like the momentum picks up and it feels like things are growing and it's just like a continuous expansive process. And that's where you're really like, you look at it and you're like, whoa, man, I did not do that by myself. That is God's work right there, right? Like that is the divine working through me. And I'm here as that facilitator. That is the level that I know that there's so many of you that desire to reach that and desire to experience that and desire to step into that. So tip number 4 is to really begin to look at and take into consideration, one, the fact that your business, your work is not just something that you have to like hodgepodge together, like, okay, hopefully this works. I don't know. But there's an actual business model. There's an actual structure. There's an actual system that you get to put into place to fully support you in the work that you know you are here to do. Okay. So that is my 4th tip. Another thing that I want to share, just coming off of that, it's something that has been in the works for over a month. It's something that I have felt so called, so passionate about. Like when we talk about whatever tip that was, when I talked about your passion and what you really feel alive, what makes you feel alive, that you feel really grounded in to share and speak about. For me, it's business, but not just like any business, because let's be real, a bit like different businesses have very different conversations around them. I'm talking about spiritual entrepreneurs. I'm talking about people who are here as healers. I'm talking about the wave of light workers that are here because you know that you have an important role in the world, because you see all the old paradigms that are crumbling apart, and we're like, okay, we got to do something here. We are here to bring in this new paradigm, new earth. You know that your work is something beyond just, I just want to do a business because it seems like a great idea. This is a deeper calling. This is God calling you forward, being like, hey, listen, this is your mission. So for those of you who feel that, this is going to be for you. I want to share something that's been happening behind the scenes and that I've been working together, God and I, me and the divine. We have been putting this together, and it just feels like such a beautiful, perfect time for this. And that is, I am walking you through a 9-month program. It's called In Service. Love the name so much because it truly is about being in service, of service to the world through the expression of your gifts, through what you have come here to do, through the calling that is in your heart, that is so big, that is so loud, and that you know on a deep level, that especially for those of you who maybe are working a different job right now, maybe you're in corporate careers, whatever, but you know that this calling, this path is something that you are meant to, that this is why you were placed on this planet, because you are here to bring this to life. You are here to bring this transformation. You are here to share this message, and it needs to be reached. People need to receive it. This is something that you can't not do. In service is for you if you feel that. If you feel that so deep in your heart that you know that there's something more here. There's something that I must accomplish. Like, God places on my heart, I must bring this out there. So the way that the in-service program works is that it's 9 months long. Like I said, it's running from the end of February to the end of November 2024. And this is where I'm literally walking you through every single aspect of of a business as a healer, specifically from the lens of a healer, of course, as someone who's a spiritual entrepreneur, someone who is here to bring through teaching, transformation, this whole conversation around guiding other people. And so we go through the whole thing from your messaging, from the calling, from like, what does this actually look like? What is the specific message that I'm here to share? Talking about, the specific ways in terms of sharing your truth, creating a platform where you are actually speaking, sharing your truth, guiding people, all the things that you're called to do. Moving through into creating the offers and actually understanding your business model, how all of your offers, your products, your services, whatever it is that you're creating. For some people, it might not be products, but for others, it might be. But the point is that you are in a space where you can see from a bird's eye view the intricate system of your business and how it works, the ecosystem. And I know that for some people that might feel like, whoa, like that's crazy. That feels overwhelming. I don't know if I can do this. But I'm telling you, and here's the thing, the biggest thing about the in-service program is that it's about simplifying it all. And everything that has felt like a big scary monster and like so overwhelming, I've been doing this for over 7 years. So I've seen it all, I've experienced it all, I get it all. And the thing is that I'm here to walk you through the process so it doesn't feel so scary, so you don't feel so alone in it, so you don't feel like you got to figure everything out. I'm here to show you the simplest way forward. And it's also about bringing through this new paradigm leadership. And one of the focuses that we are going to be talking about throughout this whole 9 months is the divine feminine and activating that feminine energy, that divine feminine leadership when it comes to this work. And also, at the same time, we're not forgetting about the divine masculine, because that is important. The divine masculine is here to offer the structure and offer the systems and offer the framework. So we're working with both together. However, the idea that you have to hustle, that you got to have all this pressure, that you got to be this whatever energy in order to be successful in business, no, that's going out the door. The idea that you have to work 80 hours a week to be successful, that's going out the door. I started my business when I was working a 9-to-5 job. I left after 10 months because I got my business to a place where I was able to leave that stable salary and all the things to pursue this. I also now have 2 small children. So anyone who has little kids, you know that time is very limited when it comes to your business and growing it and all the things. So I have seen it from all points of view, from all perspectives. And so that is a huge part of the work and how we are building your business. It's about understanding that, hey, you got limited time. You're probably wearing at least 3 different hats, probably 10 in your life. You juggle a lot of things. You have a lot of different responsibilities. I get it. And so I want you to understand that creating a successful business that is sustainable, that is solid, that allows you to not only serve the mission that is in your heart, but that is also supporting you in your lifestyle and the life that you desire to live. I'm here to help you do that. And that's what the in-service program is all about. So I have a special invite for you because technically speaking, at the time of this podcast release, we are in a pre-sale, private pre-sale party, but I'm inviting you to come join me in that. If this speaks to you, you can be a part of the pre-sale. All you got to do is go to the link below in the show notes, go see all the details there. And if you follow me on social media, you'll see that I'm going to be talking more about this over the coming weeks. However, we will no longer be in pre-sale. So pre-sale is a special time right now. If you're watching me or listening, depending on where you are, as I've released this episode, then you want to go in and check it out right now because pre-sale is very special. Okay. So that is the in-service program. And the other thing that I want to share is that it is something that is a very, intimate space and container. Very, 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 very limited spots for this because I want to be able to give you my attention and hold you through this. And so, it's not a big group. It's something that is going to be very uniquely tailored to you as I walk you through this whole process. So if you want to see the breakdown of everything that we're going to cover throughout the 9 months together, go to the website. If you want to see all the details, if you're someone who's like, well, what are the calls? How often are we meeting? Blah, 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 all that. It's all on the website. Okay. I'll just tell you weekly calls, and also you get one one-on-one session with me every month. So you're getting 9 private sessions with me as well. All those details are on the website. So I'm going to stop talking now and let you go. See all the things there. If you have any questions about in service, you can always reach out to me. The best place to reach out to me is either through DM on Instagram, or you can use the contact form on my website. So either way, reach out if you have questions, reach out if you want to talk. I'm here. I'm here to support you. I'm here to tell you my honest feedback if this is for you or not, because I'm going to be very picky about who joins. So I will tell you if this is for you or not, if you want to ask that. So I'm really excited. I cannot wait. Like I said, this has been in the works for a little while now, and I'm excited to finally be able to share the in-service program with you. So thank you so much for listening today. I hope that this serves you. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Which tip was the one that landed the most for you? Which one are you going to start to use in your everyday practice, in your business, in your life? Let me know. I cannot wait. And aside from that, I'm sending you so much love and angel blessings, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. And if you want to learn more about the Divine Connection podcast, you can go to christinaaroche.com/podcast and learn about how you can be featured on the show.